Everyone, welcome back. Some crazy news in the EV space. EV maker Arrival sued by landlord over unpaid rent at the Charlotte factory. Things have not been going particularly well for Arrival, and it seems like it continues to get a little bit worse. The landlord of the Arrival Charlotte operations is seeking more than 34.5 million in damages in a recent filed lawsuit. It appears the electric maker also has been pushed out of the facility near Charlotte Douglas International Airport. You're not allowed to go in your own factory because you're not paying the rent? That's cold. An entity name, Pool 5 Industrial NC LLC, has filed a complaint alleging Arrival is late on a multiple rent payment for its industrial space at Meadow Oak Commerce Central. Pool 5 Industrial NC owns a Meadow Oak and is affiliated with EQT Exeter Record Show. The entity's complaint is dated as January the 10th. Arrival signed lease in April 2021 to occupy the industrial building of 211,000 and 318,000 square feet, respectively, at Meadow Oak. The facility were intended to house Arrival electric van production operation. So it doesn't really give us much more information except for that, but that's rough. And I don't think there's been much public comment made from Arrival. Not by the looks of it. You know, the last time, and this is a complex matter. You're being sued. It's not easy to respond publicly. But my question is more profound. What's the next step for Arrival? For those of you who've been on this channel long enough, Arrival was my second video of this channel. Compared to where it was then to where it is right now, you can see it's night and day. It's vastly different because there was one time when you would think a company like this, surely it has to succeed because the idea is genuinely so good. But what we rarely forget is just that this business is very cutthroat. It's automotive, and it's an extremely capital-intensive industry. Now, when you're working on such a revolutionary idea as microfactory, purpose-built vehicles, modular platform vehicles, it becomes even more challenging because this is an area in which it hasn't really been explored. So for people to invest in such a company, it is a really challenging thing to do. But I still like the company. I still like what the company has to represent. But imagine can't simply find any more funding. And I remember when this company was getting the van certification in Europe. I believe the van received certification milestone. They designed a car in partnership with Uber. You know, they really look like they're on the right track. I mean, this company has bus prototypes. It's not a company with empty IP, and they have customers, they have demand, they have orders to complete, but they just don't have the infrastructure or the funding to support said infrastructure. And the problem is, Arrival doesn't need one investor or two or three. It needs more. It needs investors that can guarantee funding to this company for the next decade, if not more. One investor is not enough, but a group of investors, perhaps they create a consortium, group of investors who can invest based on an annual basis, take it in turns. They can cover the costs to develop this company into a functioning company. But will it even be profitable? Why would investors do this when they can easily invest in other companies that are guaranteed to make them a success in terms of capital gains and returns? This is just far more risky. So I get it. Investors are not really taking risk, especially with their money. This is serious. Rich, wealthy people do not like to take risk with their money. Arrival has certainly had plenty of funding. But as you can see, just by the sheer scale of how insane the market is, it's not been enough. It has simply not been enough. But how will this company survive? Can it even survive at this point? Being as cheap as it is, you would think another company would buy it. Instead of buying Arrival, companies like Kia are actually making their own modular vehicles with their own microfactory. Instead of buying Arrival, they're doing it themselves. Maybe it's to avoid the complication. You don't want to buy into a company that probably doesn't want to be bought. But why wouldn't they want to be bought? It seems that their only option is to be bought by another company. Personally, I think Arrival should approach Daimler Mercedes. I really do. I think they should approach larger automakers who are probably interested in a purchase such as this, like Mercedes, Daimler. BMW doesn't really do this sort of stuff, but approach them as well. Approach VW, approach these top companies that might be interested in this sort of stuff. Companies that can support this kind of brand. Companies that already have the infrastructure to give a rival what they need. You know, all a rival really needs is a factory. And the amazing thing is that this company is built on the idea to have microfactory, yet that's already proven difficulty by paying rent, but they're being sued for not paying rent. The main focus about this company was to use microfactory, yet that they can't even accomplish. It just proves that how difficult this business can be, and it's cutthroat and it's dangerous. But how are you going to sue a company that can't pay its own rent? If they don't have the money to pay their rent, how are they going to have the money to pay you when you sue them? Will this drive a rival to bankruptcy? Will they just have to, if no one will buy this company, they just have to shut it down? Not to mention, now that they are being sued, if someone decides to buy this company, they're going to probably have to pay for the attorney fees, and whatever the conclusion is of the lawsuit, they'll probably have to pay the recipient. Approaching another company and convincing them to buy a rival has just gotten significantly more difficult. And I had so much hope for this company because they genuinely have great ideas that are really promising, but they lack the infrastructure and they definitely lack investors. Investors are not as diversified as they used to be. Investors are now taking less risk. They're going with the guarantee solutions. They're taking less risk with their money. They're not as adventurous as they used to be. And they're certainly not as open-minded as they used to be. There was a time when it wouldn't be that difficult to get investors to invest in a rival for the next 10 years, or even longer. Create a consortium. There was a time when this was a real possibility. Investors are not looking to be your savior. They're not looking to be your friend. They're a lot more rigid. They're taking a lot less risk. And I get it. I really get it. But at the same time as they're taking less risk, they're also taking risk, just in other things. So what's the future of a rival being in this position? If they can't pay their rent, how are they going to pay for lawyer fees? Lawyer fees, by the way, how are they going to pay for this lawsuit? How are they going to pay the recipient? Liquidate assets. Would they have to do another merger, which is just be a nightmare, especially for the retail investors such as us who actually like the company and want to support the company? But there's very little that we can do. Arrivals want hope, and this is not the first time I've said it. I'll make it very clear. This company needs to be sold to another company who can manage it a lot better, who has the capital to make sure that this is a success. And strangely enough, I think that company could be Mercedes. I don't know why, but I think maybe they already approached Mercedes, and maybe Mercedes say, nope, we're not interested because we could do this ourselves. That's what a lot of companies will say. Why would we buy a rival when we could do this ourselves? You lack the infrastructure, you're in debt, you have a lawsuit, we can do this ourselves. Why would we buy a rival? So, because there was a time when I'm sure they were getting a lot of investments. And for them, a few years ago, getting investment must have seemed so much easier compared to now. It's easier to get investment if you just start from scratch. That's the ironic thing. If they just create a new company, new name, start from scratch, they'd probably be easier to get investment. And if they watch this video and they take that idea and they use it to create a new company and get investments that way, that's two options. Create a new company and get investments that way, is sell this company to the new company, sell the IP, and allow this company to go into bankruptcy, change the name, take the name with you, but change the name. By the way, this is not advice. This is not financial advice. It's not business advice. It's not advice in any way. It's just my own opinion. I'm just curious, like, how are they going to get out of this position? I can think of many options, but I'm no expert. This is not advice. I want to make that clear, by the way. I want to make that really clear. I really shouldn't be laughing. Yeah, that's actually true. I just remember there's people jobs are at risk. Now that I remember that there are people jobs at risk, this changes things a lot. This makes it more sad, you know. There've always been people job at risk. People have been losing their jobs with Arrival for quite some time because the company can't afford to employ that much people. We remember when they cut back employment, when they cut back their workforce by a lot. We remember that. I made a video about that. So in no way is this something to joke about. It's a serious matter. It's genuinely a serious matter. And by the way, this was recent, by the way. Stricken electric van maker Arrival in fresh rescue for funding bid. The British-based company, which once boasted a valuation of more than 4 billion, is now worth merely 10 million and is working with Jeffries to secure money to keep it afloat, Sky News learns. 10 million? As of the 9th of November, this company was valued at 10 million? 10 million? Wait a minute. I want to check this for myself. Holy crap. What is it like? This has been over 2 months, but market cap is 20 million. Holy crap. Perhaps the cheapest electric company on the market right now. This changes things. You know how crazy that is? And not to mention, they had a merger, which confused the hell out of me in terms of stock price and everything. It confused all of us, to be honest. Is that how cheap this company is? Okay, now, Geely could buy this company. Polestar could buy this company. Polestar could buy its own company. That's strange. I mean, they would, Polestar wouldn't, but Geely could buy this company for basically nothing. Holy crap. I'm mind blown. I'm struggling to believe that the market cap is 20 million. And back in November, it was 10 million. Don't know what's going to happen with Arrival, but keep me updated. Thank you for watching, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.